Hey everyone, this is Paul Hebert. I'm not Rafael Taveras, but this is the Writ, and I'm really happy to welcome you to this broadcast. Unfortunately, Ralph is actually in the middle of chasing a cat. I'm not sure of the status of the cat. I'm not sure of the status of Ralph. Hopefully he'll be here soon. But
why do I feel like Ralph is like Jerry right now?
Are we waiting for Godot? I mean,
Ralph is going to make a random appearance at any minute here.
Yeah, we'll know when he pops up. I think he'll have a little square, but we'll see. But yeah, we're really excited to have on tonight's show. We have Ray Jameson from Madcaps. He's got a Kickstarter going, so can't wait to hear all about that. Really excited. He's doing very well with that. And then we have Phil Russertt from Philbo Publishing. He's going to be talking about his Kickstarter coming up soon, which is totally awesome. My name's Paul.
And
Hebert.
I publish Madcaps.
Yes,
he does. That's correct.
And I'm Paul Hebert. I am the founder and creator of Time Enforcers, which is a role-playing video game, digital comic that makes learning history fun. And I'm actually in the process of having a Kickstarter myself. So I think we can get the show started and have some fun, speak all things geek. And we'll kick it off to Ray. Ray, you want to talk about Madcaps and what's going on and what's happening?
Definitely. We are almost a week in. We're 6 days to be precise. We've got a 30-day campaign. We're already funded 4 times over. And we've got some really cool tiers and add-ons. I can't say what quite yet, but we will be revealing shortly a couple of new tiers. But that's a couple of days down the pipes here. What can I say that hasn't been said on the show yet about the Madcaps? What I do know is I'm very excited to have this mini-series complete, and in this Kickstarter, you can get all 3 issues all together in a couple of different bundles. We had one artist who made one cover for each issue. So Jenna Stark, shout out to Jenna Stark. You can get what we're calling it the Jenna Stark collection. We have a special edition trilogy, which is when you assemble all the covers to each issue, it makes the picture behind me here, which is really, really cool. We've got a lot going on. Some successful add-ons that people really liked, we decided to add on again, which includes blankets, t-shirts. We also have character sheets for anybody who likes to play Dungeons and Dragons. We've adapted all the characters over to 5th level. Well, I had to add I had to adapt it to 5e, so it's very close, but a little bit adjusted to make it 5e friendly. But you can get all 4 of those guys. We have metal foil posters, metal foil covers, glow in the dark cover. It's staggering to see the amount of talent that has decided to take a risk on little old me. I've never written a comic before, but my follower count has been higher than ever. I've almost surpassed my most successful Kickstarter ever that I've collaborated with, and it's very encouraging. Repeat readers, repeat backers. Anybody who likes fantasy, if you like something like Willow or Legend, everybody thinks of Lord of the Rings when you think of fantasy, and I wouldn't disagree, but that would definitely fall in league with what this book feels like in a way. But it also feels like the last Dungeons and Dragons movie, where you have people that some of them are friends, some of them are not in the movie. In this one, it's just a batch of 4 friends. And I could go on and on about this, but I'll tell you right now, we've got intrigue, we have intensity, we have, of course, action in every issue. We have justification for the action. It isn't, sometimes if you have just action all the time, you could get numb to it. So I use the example, if you only had chocolate once a year, that's the best tasting chocolate ever. But if you have it every hour, you could, dare I say, go as far as getting sick of it. We have 23 days to go, and up to this point in the game, I'm very content with what I've heard from reviews of the first 2 issues. I guarantee you it's going to get even better in issue 3. I guess I keep on trying to stop myself from saying spoilers. Usually I'm pretty good, but I'm going to pass it back to you, Paul, so I can give my voice a rest.
No, that's fine. I mean, I am a big fan of Ray, and the story he's creating here. I mean, if you like Dungeons and Dragons and if you like mysteries, this is like a really cool comic. I mean, it has characters that run the gamut. You've got dwarfs, you've got gnomes, you've got, I can't name all the characters. It's so much fun. And it's really a diverse group. So it looks like a Dungeons and Dragons, game. It's, you have all the different characters and you have them with different talents and abilities. And it's full of surprises, I have to say. I mean, I read issues 1 and 2, and I can't wait for 3. It just looks to be a continuation of a really great saga, and I think Ray's really knocked it out of the ballpark here in terms of the writing, and he's teamed up with some really talented artists as well. So it's really a quality book.
Is there any scenes or pages that really stand out to you, Paul?
What's that?
Are there any pages or scenes in the first 2 issues that stand out to you?
The last time I read it was probably a couple months ago, but I think it was the one in issue 2 where I can't remember what was the big
guy, Madrakas.
Yeah, Madraka. Yeah, he was
this guy.
Madrakas.
Yeah, I wish I could share the screen because it'd be easier, but I can't. But anyway, it's just his interactions there in issue 2 are really cool, I have to say. I mean, I just thought that was really his character, the way he developed in that. You learn a lot about what he does, and it's just, I thought it was really well done. So,
well, I wouldn't be putting Philbo on it if it wasn't quality. And what I liked about it was that it feels like D&D fantasy, but it's not cliche typical D&D fantasy. And then you've also got one of the oldest and most successful tropes, and that's the buddy cop thing, where you got 4 personalities that are interchanging and mingling, and they all bring their own color and flavor to the story. And I thought Ray did a good job of balancing. Some people don't realize writing an ensemble cast is not always easy, and Ray does a good job of balancing them, giving them their own voices, their own personalities, and I thought it worked. I liked it. And of course, Victor Medina just has been killing it in the 2nd and 3rd issue, and I mean, what can you say? Ray isn't just doing well because he's on every freaking show possible. He's doing well because it's a really good book. Thanks, and man. He must have caught the cat.
I've had enough
out of the bag.
Rap's always chasing pussy.
Well, just a couple more cents. I mean, what I liked about it, it's not your typical D&D. Usually typical D&D is like go and battle a dragon, go and battle a giant spider. This is like they're trying to figure out a drug that's infiltrated into the town, and who is this cabal that's behind it that's essentially killing all these people, which is kind of cool. So it's like almost like a detective story, which is neat. So you sit on like D&D and detective. It's like a cross between, I don't know, FBI.
Well, I've had some people compare it to a little bit of Legend, a little bit of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in regards to how the friends bug each other. And I've heard a little bit of 2006's Monster House about friends getting into hijinks in their own kind of neighborhood. It sounds like it's all over the place, but it works. When you see it, it doesn't feel like it's all over. Hey, Victor, that's my interior artist, Victor Medina. He also drew this very cover on the screen here as a warm-up for the interiors of issue 2, and I did not find out about it until after issue 2 campaign was done. So I insisted I wanted it to be the main cover for issue 3. So I'm very proud to have that on the cover, on the front of this this book. This one's a banger. This one's got a lot going on. This one's all about the end of the night. All 3 issues take place in one night, and these guys have pulled an all-nighter. They are not in the best of shape, and they're fatigued. They're beat up a little bit. They're a tad exhausted. So here we have individuals that by the start of the 3rd book, they find out that Ivywood, their hometown, is going to have a curse put on it by sunrise. So with limited time, they can't even go to get help or report. It's all valuable time that would be lost. So they find themselves, I think every human being, when they're around their friends, they try to live up to how their friends view them. And this is a similar scenario of that, where they have to go and see if they can actually stop this problem from happening with the limited time, limited resources, and limited fortitude that they have amongst them.
I gotta say, Paul, you did a great job. I feel like that beginning was even better than any of mine.
I wish I caught the cat for you, Raphael. I would have taken that.
Oh, that would have been so much better. And it's funny that you're saying it's not like a regular D&D quest. Then I'm laughing because I felt like what I was doing is like a regular D&D quest.
Yes, that's right.
You gotta catch the cat. I'm like, why do we gotta catch the cat? Oh my
I
God.
cast Eldritch Blast on
Exactly.
the cat.
I cast Fireball. You can't kill the cat.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, the one thing I did do right is I put Ray's link in the chat. I couldn't get the screen up though, Raphael. I was a little lost that. So
don't worry about it.
I was trying.
when Phil was right in the green room when the person who's starting the show, he's the one that's in control of everything. So I felt like you guys are very good talkers. So you would have been able to talk yourself through until I was able to throw something up.
We made it
I
work.
wasn't worried about any of you guys because you guys
Happy
all
to help.
But I gotta say, I've really enjoyed this. I was telling Ray that usually I go for the game, but I had to get that glow in the dark cover.
Yeah, that covers something, man. I'm really looking forward to that. If you scroll down a little bit, it's
I got you.
Not too far away. Keep going. Two more. There it is right there. So that one colored by, he goes by the alias of Pogs Art on Facebook and Instagram. And he has over 175,000 followers on both of those platforms, exclusively, not combined. And it was colored by Dave Kemp, and everything white on that cover is going to be glow in the dark. And according to Phil, this thing's going to light up like a night light. I am really looking forward to seeing that thing.
I got Phil's glow in the dark cover. I had to take it off the set because it would just be glowing even in the light back there. Because I used to have it back here, standing on a stand, and it was kind of distracting. No, this thing, you can use it as a night light.
Wow.
Yeah, it really is. It was crazy. I had never gotten a glow in the dark book before, and so I got the tragedy one. It's the mask, which is white on a black background.
Fantastic. I love the fact that it's just a mask.
I went in my basement, which was pitch black. I mean, you can't even see your hand in front of your face. And this literally with 5 seconds in light, this thing charged, and the back cover lit up.
Yep.
I mean, the whole thing, it was a night light. It looked like moths were going to be attracted. It was so cool. It was like a bug zapper or something. It was crazy. Yeah.
So what's the half-life on this? Are you going to be responsible for like the medical watching? Yeah. Radiation that's leaking from this?
Yeah, really. That's funny.
Well, I have a glow-in-the-dark Ghost Rider. I believe it's issue 13, which is a glow-in-the-dark.
No, this was way brighter than that.
Oh, yeah, way brighter than that.
But you're mentioning...
I have that Ghost Rider you're talking about. Yeah, this is way better.
But, Paul, you mentioned Half-Life. That thing still glows in the dark, and this is 35 years later.
If that one's still glowing in the dark, then this one is going to glow down. Dude, this is going to scare you one day when you go downstairs, and you're going to be like, what the hell is that?
Dude, awesome. You can save money on electricity. You just take the book with you. You'll be able to light your way down the stairs like a torch in the Dungeons and Dragons world.
You start lighting up. It's its own radiation source. Starts powering the light bulbs.
If we get into the apocalypse and then we're dealing with zombies, we'll be fine. We'll have plenty of light at night.
I feel like you probably could throw that thing at a ghost and catch it.
Yeah.
Just cover him.
Oh my God, folks, we're kidding here, but this thing is gonna look fantastic. If it looks anything like Phil's book cover, which I really did like the fact, Phil, that you just picked the mask because it really stands out so much, as a glow in the dark cover.
Which, by the way, off topic for a moment, I get a lot of requests for masks to wear, and that's getting in the works. And
really? That's cool.
Nick Garber did a tragedy statue for me based on the amazing Ian Churchill cover.
Issue 1, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the one where she's up against the mirror, right?
Mirror.
Yep.
Yes.
It didn't capture the mask, but it looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, I see.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty good
Amazing.
for that fine of a scale too. Wow.
Yeah,
That is
very cool.
amazing.
Working on the merchandise, guys. I hate to say this, but comics will break your heart, like Jack Kirby said. It's the merchandise is where the money is made.
But it's one of the things we try to tell new creators is especially when you're at a con and all you have is 1 or 2 books, merchandise, man. Get as much merchandise as you can get.
Do you want to know what's funny though? I think when I had 1 book, sales were a lot easier because I think once you have the 38 flavors, people get overwhelmed and they don't know what the hell, and there's so much to pitch and you got a lot to pitch to them in the 10 seconds you've got their attention.
Yep.
Now that I have like 15 freaking titles on my table, I think people look at me like, where do I start? So what I would tell everybody is make sure you have a very quick pitch for all your books, but also read your audience.
Yeah.
And know you have to have an idea of which book you think is going to grab the person standing in front of you and start with that book. So do those 2 things and you'll be all right.
Completely agree. Yeah, but it's one of those things that you need to do at a con anyway. You need to figure out who's coming to the table or why they're coming to the table. Each person is different, so your pitch has to change as each person passes.
Well, I have 3 set pitches for anything based on demographic of the person, right? Like if I'm approaching a guy my age about tragedy, I will make references to Big Trouble in Little China and Kill Bill and Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
Yeah, right away that catches my attention.
Right, but if I did that to a 20-year-old kid, he's gonna be like, "Oh, I don't know
what are you talking about?"
So you've got to go John Wick and and manga or anime stuff and things like that. And if you're pitching to a young female, and all of this is true, mind you, I go more from the angle of her and her struggles and her strengths and what she goes through, and understanding that women deal with a lot of inner struggles that men don't. We're pretty caveman like. I'm hungry, I'm horny, I'm tired, I'm thirsty, and whatever. Women are more complex with a lot of the things they think and feel about. So if you tap into it, a lot of times a woman will walk away and go, "Oh, that sounds like an interesting character, I'd like to check that out." So I always have a pitch for those 3 different the gender demographic and the age demographic, which could be one of 2 ages. I think when you do that, and then just read the room, be able to read who's standing in front of you. Like if I went to Paul and I'm not going to pitch Paul on Paul I would, because he's family oriented and stuff. Like the dynamics, a kid's book. But most men our age, they probably don't give a crap about dynamics, but they will like tragedy. They will like Arcane Syndicate. Diary.
I love Arcane Syndicate.
Like Paul. I don't know if Paul likes horror, but I wouldn't get that off of Paul, so I probably wouldn't be pitching my horror book to Paul. You know what I mean?
I love Papa, so
thank you.
And see, that means that Phil got it right. You got that family aspect from him, so that's why you will approach him.
No, it's a badass grandpa. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, and the great thing about Madcaps, to segue back to that, is it captures a lot of. It's got the zombies, right? It's got the action. It's got the D&D fantasy. It's got the camaraderie of the 4 friends. It's got magic. It's got, fight scenes. It's got monsters. And there's nothing in here that's inappropriate if you wanted to get this book for your 11-year-old kid. You know what I mean? So, and I always say, like what Paul's doing with his time enforcers is just so invaluable as far as educating and entertaining at the same time. But at the same time, something like Madcaps, I'm a father of 2 kids, and my kid doesn't want to read. Say, they hate reading and they're not ready for chapter books, but they have chapter books they have to read for school. Well, how am I going to get them interested in reading? All right, well, you can offer them Harry Potter, but it's still a chapter book. They don't want to sit and read it. You offer them Madcaps, and it's you could sit with your kid, enjoy the book yourself while they enjoy it. Get them hooked on reading, enjoy beautiful color and art, and and then hey, maybe you get them into D&D and start playing a role playing game. Get sit down in the session.
Well, there's been so many studies, and I don't want to get too eggheadish here, but there's been so many studies related to graphic novels and comic books and how they bridge that gap between kids wanting to read and kids getting turned off to reading. And you know, the combination of both the visual and the literal word is huge because you're tying together an image and you're tying together the written word. And that's really what makes the connection. And I think academia is actually turning more towards this presentation of information because not a lot of kids can sit down and read a Herman Melville Moby Dick, you know, 600 pages of, you know,
they don't have the attention span anymore.
You know? Yeah,
they don't have the attention span. I mean, everything is visual on their phone with text. So yeah,
I have a theory about that. When you have somebody who has more than enough stimulation when it comes to entertainment, especially the visual aspect, if you can land that in the academic standing, if you can land not like continuous changing things up to continuously grab people's attention, but if you can do things in such a way where people want to, like, you know what, it was actually novel and fun to read that, I now want to read it more, that bridged gap. I have a theory that if you're able to speak their language in a certain manner and introduce the cool thing that they're kind of repulsed by, they'll suddenly like the thing they're repulsed by.
Thank you. Can you be a salesman for Time Enforcers, Ray?
Oh man, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's the good thing. I feel like as Paul explains his Time Enforcers, the people that hear it go, "Hey, I'm gonna spread the word too."
Yes.
I feel like, Paul, you got something there, bro.
Yeah, just, you know, it's funny. I talk to educators, and you know, I either get one or two reactions. One, it's like, I've done this before, I don't want to do it again, and the others are, I can really appreciate this. This is something that, you know, is going to really tune in with the kids, and they want to do it. And it's not only the artwork and the word, it's gamifying the experience, making it fun for them. Mm-hmm. You know, why does learning history or reading a book have to be laborious? Why can't you make it entertaining and have them really get involved in it? Because those are the baby steps you take towards those 600-page novels that are all black and white with no pictures. You know what I mean?
Well, not to mention, there are studies that show the more senses you use for any given task, the more you enjoy it, the more you absorb from it. And that's why I always said physical comics will never be beaten by digital, because the smell of the paper, feeling the texture of it, the colors are brighter, and so you're using sight, sense, and touch. You know, the only thing you're not listening is you're not hearing. So so something like Time Enforcers, you're hitting all your senses: audio, visual, you know, it's tactile because you are doing interactive things. And studies show that is the best way to absorb knowledge and enjoy something, even just the enjoyment aspect of it, which again, sometimes you don't even realize you're absorbing knowledge while you're absorbing knowledge, because you're just repetitively doing something that you enjoyed, you know?
So that reminds me of what I always say, because when I was a kid, I started reading Fantastic Four, and it wasn't dumbed down. It was, you know, written the way it was, and you would get these huge words in Fantastic Four, which made me have to go find what these words meant. You know,
Yes.
You know, but I feel like that's one of the reasons why my vocabulary got as big as it did early on.
Yeah, but you go into Phil's point as well in terms of the printed page. And one thing I'm finding by doing this comic book, I'm learning an art of storytelling, which I haven't really done before. And this is like my first experience. And I don't have a set script. I'm kind of making it up as I go along. But I see the way things break. And I see this with Ray's book especially. The turning of the page is so important. You don't get that with a scroll.
Yes.
When you turn a page, like, holy crap, what did I do happen here? You know, it happened in Papa on the last page. I'm not saying what happened, but on the last page, it's like, boom, it slams you in the face.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's what people miss when you start, okay, I'm scrolling.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah. And I got to say, your colors are amazing. Your characters are interesting. You constantly get that comparison to, which is pretty decent, to Carmen Sandiego. You know, all these things, all these are great things, and I feel like you understand your product. Because sometimes as creators, sometimes we don't even understand our own product. which makes it kind of difficult to actually sell it.
Yeah, it's funny because I run into a lot of educators and they say, well, we really can't gamify the experience. But then I run into people that talk about learning history, and it's either Carmen Sandiego, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, or where's Oregon Trail. And it's just like, okay,
You get
these are
dysentery.
fun things and they've impacted people. Doesn't that like put proof in the pudding that making this an experience to be fun?
If it's
as opposed
good,
to learning,
it will work.
1492, Christopher Columbus discovered the ocean blue, whatever crap that is. I mean, who
I've
cares?
never understood that year thing in history. Yeah.
What's the point? Isn't it more important you understand what the premise was, why someone did something, why a war started? What was the political
gravity
nature
of all
it,
these
as opposed to
actions.
year? I
Well,
mean,
well, that's the point. Is are you just memorizing or are you learning? And to learn, you have to understand in depth what was going on at that time. And I think history is just being lectured to students, and they may be able to quote, when something happened. World War II in 1940s, and Japan attacked, Hawaii, and this happened and that happened. Okay, but you're just quoting stats. What about what was going on? What was the climate politically? Why this happened? Why these things were going on? How it was resolved and why it was resolved? And how did that affect future events in history? So that's why PowerPoints and lectures, who gives a shit? So I memorized a few dates that mean nothing to me in the future. But
Go ahead.
But if you understand the story, it's his story, a lot of it resonates and stays with you because everything, like even fictional stories are taken from historical events.
Yeah. The writers use history or use mythology or use reality in order to make whatever story they're working on.
Yeah, to temper their story, make it believable, relatable.
That's what I loved about Jules Verne and H.G. Wells. I mean, these guys were like writing in the 19th century and doing stuff that was just phenomenal, but they played it to the time that they were living, which was huge. That was great. And, that comes through in those stories when you actually read the original text. So it's really wild.
Unfortunately, folks, I've got to step.
Oh, that's right. Ray says he has to go.
Thank
Ray,
you.
one
Thank you
more
very much
time,
for
tell
having
the
me.
people where they can find you.
For sure.
He was leaving.
I'll put it up.
I unfortunately I got to step out. My wife came home late from work, and I want to spend some time with her tonight before she goes to bed.
Does she want to spend time with you though?
I think so. I think so. We'll see. But yeah, you could find me on Facebook, the Madcaps page. You could find me on Facebook as DM Ray. DM is short for Dungeon Master. You could also find me on Instagram as Raymond the DM, because DM Ray was already taken. You can find, most importantly, this page here that we're looking at. You're going to want to at least follow it. We've got some cool stuff coming up, but back it. I've got a really cool story on here. I guarantee you will appreciate it for an honest story that has a good punchline in various different parts. You'll see this image behind me here. You can get that as a special edition trilogy where issue 1, 2, and 3, their covers combined make this lovely image in my background, which depicts the final act, where you see all four of them facing off as against two individuals, the main antagonist and something that has only been teased in this image, and a little bit of a jump scare at the end of the trailer. But I've got to step out. Thank you very much, Raph. Thanks for the hospitality.
You're sleeping anyway. You work too hard.
Bill and Paul, it's good to see you guys.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, man, I didn't know. I would have shut up if I had known you were leaving.
No, this was good. This is perfect, man.
And just so you know, everybody,
hey, Ray got a little bit of everything. He got some geek out. He got some comic.
Just go when you go to Kickstarter, type in Philbo Publishing Madcaps, and it'll pop right up if you don't find a link.
Yes, sir.
Don't let that deter you. You'll find it real 5 seconds on Kickstarter.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, thanks again, fellas. I got to let you go.
Right, my condolences to your wife, Ray.
Take care, Ray. Great seeing you.
So here's a little something we discuss on the show a lot. Comic-Con, sadly, more and more shows are becoming not only less about comics, but also less about art and artist alleys, and more about celebs and voice talent.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
We talk about it here all the time. And that's why one of the reasons I loved your show so much, Phil, it was an actual Comic-Con.
Yeah, but here's the sad truth. We can get mad at the promoters for doing that, or we can get mad that that's what the fans are asking for. Because at the end of the day, if that's what the promoters are going to do, what brings people in the door, and they want the voice actors and they want the celebrities. People throughout history worship celebrities. They I think it's wanting that life and wanting to be like them, and like there's this pedestal they put them on. Whereas with media changing and there's so much out there to consume your time and attention, comic books have kind of dropped a little. And then I hate to say this, but with the lack of quality in the writing in mainstream comics, I think readership has really dropped, and it's tough. It's tough.
But I gotta say, Phil, you're working it, man, because like here you are at school and trying to bring that to the mind of the youth.
Yeah, we're doing the cover contest for the students because it's the High School of Art and Design in Manhattan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm a sponsor at the show. I'll be there with Sean Chen and some other people. Sean's done a cover for me. We're also going to have a panel, Sean and I, Sunday afternoon. And Saturday morning, we're going to have a panel about the cover contest. And it's just a celebration of comics and art. And, these are young kids coming out of school looking to graduate and get into some sort of art or design degree. And we want to really nurture that, and we want to help them grow and learn and understand. And in our panel, we're going to be discussing the industry and educating them on the difference between publishing and distribution. And, there's trademarking, and there's, copyright, and there's, how do you make a comic? People don't understand how many moving parts there are and what you really got to, get into to do it. So we will talk about that Sunday, 3:30 to 4:30. 10th floor, but I have an elevator, or I ain't making it.
Oh, yeah, there's an elevator. I've been to the show enough. I love Fanfare. It's an amazing experience. And it's a great, because we were just talking about the fact that, how things are happening now at the Comic-Cons, but this actually gives the youth a chance to be in a space where it's about the comics, where it's about the art, about the illustrations, because it's the School of Art and Design. So they make sure that's what this convention's about.
By the way, I DM'd you on Facebook. I also, on May 13th, all right, so this weekend I'll be at the New York Fan Fair in New York City, Saturday and Sunday. May 2nd, Free Comic Book Day. I'll be there with Dennis Knight and Billy Tucci and Niall O'Rourke at Fourth World Comics. And then May 13th at the East Meadow Library, I will be a guest on Mark Torres' show, It Came From the Radio, discussing tragedy, distribution, my now print on demand. I have a lot going on, and more to come after this that I can't even talk about yet. But
you got more stuff coming?
Rock and rolling, brother.
Reveal this whole printing thing, and people were going crazy about it.
Yeah, but it's not stopping there. Look, I don't say this out of any arrogant thought that I'm a savior or I've got all the answers or I'm anything special. I'm just a schmuck like everybody else, strapping on my boots, trying to do my part. But a lot of people get mad at me for recognizing some of the issues in the industry. They think I'm downing the industry. I love this industry. I love the comic medium. It's the greatest medium, in my opinion, in the world. But we can't just put our head in the sand and act like the things that have hurt the industry aren't continuing to hurt the industry. Insanity is repeating yourself and expecting a different outcome. So I looked at all the things that I felt were detrimental to the success of the industry. And I'm just doing what I can to try to solve those problems, even if it's just in my little corner of the world. And anybody who wants to join in that corner, I welcome. And like printing is one of them. Printing prices are so high that unless you're doing offset printing 3,000 issues or more, you're spending upwards of $4 for a 24-page book.
Yep.
Which also explains why the prices on books are so high now.
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. When Image started going to digital coloring and the different paper, that obviously raised prices as well.
Definitely.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so if you're a small publisher and you're paying $4.10 for a 24-page book, you can't go to the direct market to stores. You have no chance.
No.
Your only chance to be on Kickstarter and charge $15. But then
Yeah.
here's the other problem. Kickstarter is great too, but book comes out every 3 months. You have to charge $15, and a lot of people like, well, why would I spend $15 on your book that I don't know what it is when I can for $15 I can get 3 Batman books? You know, it's
Not
so
more. It was $8. It was $8 for Superman, Spider-Man. It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
that's a special book.
Yeah, but it's just, you know, and I looked at a lot of these problems. So I looked into printing. I learn a lot of things. You know, people see when I make the announcement, they don't see the years of research and work in the back. You know, same with the distribution. I wanted to solve distribution for small press that was getting gate kept and wasn't allowed in because they weren't doing thousands of books. So I did that. Then it was getting their costs down so we can give better incentives to retailers and that they can actually make money because they're not making money. And I feel that the mentality that is current in this industry, and it's just human mentality in every industry, is I'm going to get mine as long as I can, and then when it taps out, I'll find something else. And that's not healthy for any industry.
No, it's not.
My model is I'm going to make money, but so are you, and so is the retailer. So if the retailer is making money on a 50% discount, right, on books that sell, and the publisher is making money now on every book sold, whether they sell 5 or 50 or 5,000 or 500,000, and I'm making money on my distribution and printing, it's healthy. We're all succeeding and we're all working together as a community because we can all afford to, and we're all making the industry big and grow. And the common goal should be to bring readership back.
Exactly.
Collectability is awesome. I'm a collector. I collect art. I collect figures. Cool covers, and you want to slab them. Fantastic. Okay. But the problem is, if the majority of the industry is relying on collectability, collectors are unpredictable. Meaning, I'm not following absolute Batman because I love the character or the storyline. I liked that Philip Tan cover. But next month, issue 2, I don't really care for John Romita Jr.'s cover, so I'm not buying it. You know? Or I spent so much money slabbing the first cover, I'm not buying the second book. You know what I mean? So it's up and down. And I think the Kickstarter demographics have changed to collectors. They want the foil, the glow in the dark, the coins,
they
the
want
swag.
all the covers, yeah.
But they're not, like, Paul said he liked Papa, and Paul said he's coming back for issue 2 because he liked the story and he wants to see what's going on. That's where longevity is, right? Longevity is in investing in the characters and the story, and that story takes you out of the world for a little while and you immerse yourself in it and you enjoy it. Just like Star Wars and Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and all these things that we grew up on and we loved. We follow the story, the world, the characters monthly, religiously, dedicated, loyal. How many people are still buying X-Men books even though they suck balls because they're dedicated to that team and just want to see them good again? Well, that's readership. Readership is loyal. Readership is long-term. Readership is getting to issue 100. Collectors are, I want to trade paperback, or I want that fancy cover variant. Do we need both? Of course we do. Collectors are huge. They're keeping the industry afloat right now. But I don't think we can rely on collectability by itself. We have to get readers back. That's where long-term is. And that's the goal of all of it.
The whole industry's kind of forgotten about kids, which is like one of the reasons I do like fanfare, because it goes back to it. And I have to say, the art and design, my brother's a graduate, has always done a great job with trying to foster what comes next in the arts.
Yeah, I mean, we have to start looking at the future. Like, we're not targeting young readers with NSFW or dark, mature stuff like The Boys.
Right.
Guys like Paul are getting young readers involved.
Yep.
Guys like George Medina with Wonder Duck.
Yep.
Stories like Papa, or Dynamics. Now, don't get me wrong, I like stuff like The Boys, and Tragedy's a little darker, but we have to start remembering that we're already outpricing the youth. So we at least have to give them a reason to want to spend that extra money on these books. And we have to start targeting young readers again. And that's why stuff like what Paul's doing is invaluable. He's educating them and he's getting them involved in this medium on some level. And that is huge, because we're all going to die off in 20 years, or we're going to lose interest in comics in 20 years. So
Even
who's
if we
going
don't lose
to be
interest in
here to
comics
save
in
us?
20 years, there'll be less of us.
I mean, they've already alienated the loyal fan base from the last 40 years by writing crap.
Yep.
Thinking they were going to get new readers on board, thinking the movies were going to grab them, and they didn't. You know where those readers went? Manga.
Yep.
You know why they went to manga? Because manga writes engaging, fresh news stories with characters that are interesting.
Yeah.
Western industry does not like to take risks, so they regurgitate the same shit. Don't get me wrong, Absolute Batman is doing absolutely wonderful, but it's still Batman.
Absolute.
It's just a broke ass Batman.
Hey,
Mara, it's a broke ass Batman. And when this fad dies out, where are we next?
Technically speaking, and I'm not knocking it. It's an Elseworld story. I like the fact that it's another take on Batman, but again, it's another take on Batman.
Right. I mean, again, it's a form of regurgitation. Now, maybe they're writing it differently, and it's great. I get mixed reviews. Some people say it's great. Some people say it's okay. I haven't read it, to be honest with you.
Right.
I'm just Batman fatigue, if I'm to be honest. But again, this is a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. What happens when this fad dies out? Just like the Ultimates was big for a while there, and when that dies out, where next? What's the next fad? But remember the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, we just came back for the X-Men because it was the X-Men.
The funny thing though, Phil, the Ultimates is doing well. They're killing the whole thing, and you're sitting there going, okay, your Ultimates is doing well. Why are you killing the whole thing off?
I don't know what editorial decisions are made or why anymore. I know a lot of the old guard in Marvel and DC that still have the talent and the energy and the creativity. The Alex Saviaks, the Chuck Dixons, the Larry Stromans,
Chuck Dixon.
The Bob McLeods, all these wonderful, amazing people that created this industry, made it what it is, that these companies have turned their back on. I mean, maybe they give them a cover here or there for nostalgia to try to hook us old people back, but that's just gimmicks. Get these people back on books writing. Get the people who belong in books writing. I want to see
Chuck Dixon Batman.
Yeah, I want to see Chuck Dixon writing Robin again, Batman or Nightwing. I want to see Chris Claremont writing X-Men again. Give him a shot. I mean, what, they haven't proven themselves by now? Rest his soul, Peter David, one of the greatest comic book writers ever. In the early 2000s, they gave him the X Factor book again. And they were still giving him work. So the old guard still has it.
They still have it, yeah.
But they won't hire them. You know why? I think these editors want to be able to find the next big name, or I don't know, or maybe they're just afraid because Image scared the shit out of Marvel and DC, and people weren't following the IP; they were following the artist or the writer, and they're afraid of that happening again.
From all that, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they're definitely looking for the quick buck. I mean, every time I go into a shop now, it's like issue 1, Legacy issue 865. It's like
issue 1.
Whatever. It's if you're trying to appeal to me because it says number 1 on it, that means you got something wrong with it. You don't have to do that. I mean, I'll pick up Daredevil no matter what with the regular number, but I'm not going to pick it up because it says number 1 on
Well,
it.
and the other problem though is, I'm sorry, real quick, Raph, is there's how many stories can you write about Thor after 1,300 issues? Now, and that's just a reality that nobody wants to face. Maybe they should just stop these titles for a while and let them breathe and start again, because the reason why an Absolute Batman does well is because you can start at a number 1 and you don't have the 1,500 issues of continuity that you have to look back on. I mean, remember when you had the little yellow boxes that told you way back in issue 2?
Yeah.
Well, the problem is you had to pay somebody to go back and do that. Well, now to pay somebody to sift through 1,500 issues, that's a lot of money you're spending, a lot of overhead to hire someone to do that. It's a lot of work. It's not worth it to them. So that's why continuity is shit the bed. And that's why they keep relaunching number 1s. But then the problem was launching number 1s frustrated and pissed off old school people. So they tried to do that legacy numbering to cater to them. But we saw through that. That's bullshit too. And
if they were going to do the legacy number, they should have just continued to do the legacy number.
Yeah, but I'll give you a good example too. When X-Men, when they launched Claremont and Jim Lee launched X-Men number 1.
Right.
And they had the gold team and all that. You launched a number 1 without it feeling like we're starting all over again.
Yeah.
And they kept it going. They didn't stop after 12 issues and launch a number 1 again. That's the problem. I am sick. And then after a while, they don't label them volume 1, 2, 3. I don't remember what order these stories are in. You know, if I want to go back and look at my X-Men collection after the Grant Morrison run, I don't know which volume came next, because it started at number 1 like 15 times. Like, which volume was it where Jubilee was a vampire? Which volume was it when, you know, whatever, you know, else happened, you know? And they made the most egregious mistake with the X-Men Krakoa era. You took away all the stakes.
Yep.
They could die 15 times and come back. And not only do you feel like it's not the same character, it's a clone, which hurt Spider-Man in the 90s, there's no stakes.
No.
There's no danger.
I heard that
shit. They die, they come back.
I heard that Kirkman had a whole other idea, and when he left, they just continued with that instead of going with whatever idea he had.
Oh, you mean not Kirkman?
Who was it? That did the whole Krakoa?
Why can't I think of it? Hickman.
Hickman. There you go, Hickman. Hickman.
But I mean, he wanted to tie. I think he wanted to go and tie it up differently.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
He did what he wanted to until he decided to leave. And I'm not into his sciencey stuff, to be honest with you. But like what he did with the Fantastic Four made sense because there's science. But what he did with the Avengers, it's a little too weird, a little abstract for me. And then the X-Men, I don't know. And then cheapening, bringing back all the dead characters. I don't know. Thunderbird is back. You know, Phoenix is back, resurrected for the 80th time. And I don't know. They alienated the long-term loyal readers, and they didn't fill it with new readers the way they thought they were going to do. And now they're scrambling.
Well, that's because they expect the old readers to continue to buy no matter what.
Yep.
And my thought's always been like, dude, you're not writing for me. Why would I continue to buy? Oh, because
but they're missing the whole point. It's just like I have limited resources, and if I go in even at $5-6 a book, I can't buy the volumes I used to buy when they were like 40 cents a piece, $1 a piece, $1.25 a piece. It's just not happening. I mean, I don't have unlimited resources to spend on this anymore. You know?
And then you read it, and it took you 6 minutes to read through it, and you weren't entertained. You're like, what the? I mean, why do I want to read about Miss Marvel complaining about a guy hitting on her in her DM? Like, where does that relate to my 54-year-old ass? Yeah.
I'm like,
but I'm not their demographic anymore.
They're playing for the next movie. I mean,
exactly.
They're trying to set up for the next big movie, and what they fail to realize is, and what I kind of like about Daredevil on Disney now with the second season of Born Again, they actually included as an add-on the stories, the actual comics they drew the story from for the series.
Right. And, I didn't watch it yet, so don't spoil it.
I'm not saying I'm going to say anything, but it's really good. And you know, they're kind of going back to the books for the story as opposed to just making something up for the making it up because we know better type stuff.
And the other thing is, you know, and I hear this argument and people are going to jump at me, the argument of comics have always been political and social. Yeah, they always reflect the society of the time. But there's a difference in how they did that then and they do now. When Giant Size X-Men came out, it was diversified. It was all these different cultures. But it wasn't centered on their cultural differences. It wasn't centered on Storm is black. She wasn't written as a black woman. She was written as this powerful character that just happened to be from Africa and had these abilities. You know, Kurt Wagner was German, but it wasn't written centered on everything being around and being German. And the other thing is, the writers weren't preaching to you as a soapbox through the story.
Thank you. I hate when start getting preached to. I don't need that.
Yeah, I mean, like the last Daredevil Born Again season 1, it's very obvious it was an allegory to Trump. Now, I don't care how you feel about Trump. I really don't. You like him, you hate him, whatever. But I don't go to Daredevil to find out that the writers hate Trump. Nor would I want to go find out they hate Biden or they like this person. I don't care. I'm so inundated with fucking politics every day. Fuck off. I don't care anymore. Just entertain me. And some people say, well, no, you're just making things up because there was a storyline where Fisk was the mayor. Correct. But they chose this specific time to do this specific story for a reason. And then they purposely do things like his hit squad, ICE. You know, they make the comparisons. They do it on purpose. Absolute Batman. They did it with the cops like ICE. And you know that's what they're doing. You're not reading into it. They're making it very clear that's what they're doing. Now, I don't care. You know, it's not about me being pro-ICE, anti-ICE. I am pro. I don't give a shit what a writer thinks about anything other than give me a freaking good story. If you know what I think about politics when you read Papa, I failed you. I failed you.
I gotta say, you know, it's funny that we're leading back to it because I was just thinking about the same thing. Is when you wrote Papa, you wrote it in a way where there's stuff there. There's a lesson. There's things there, but it's not what the story is about. The story is the story, and it just so happens that it is a story about a father and a son and the family and all this beautiful stuff that's happening to these people, and also an amazing surprise at the end of the first book. Which,
that's what I got from it. I mean, when I read it, I just felt that I was immersed in a family. You know, you had a husband and wife that were dealing with an aged father and father-in-law and not sure what to do with it. And they were, you know, he was contradicting their raising their daughter. And this is just family stuff, you know, and how do you deal with that? And you have an aged father who's like feeling he's not worth anything anymore. And it's sad in a way. And after he contributed as much as he did to our country and to his family, he tried to do the best he could. And it strikes a lot of chords, and it's really great.
Definitely does.
Thank you. And then, you know, just so everybody knows, I get a lot of compliments on the drama side of it and the relatability to it, right? And Chuck Dixon even said the dialogue is real, and it's very hard to pull off. I was so flattered that one of my favorite writers of all time, one of the best, greatest comic writers of all time, could say that about me. Is crazy. But that's like Morgan Freeman telling me I'm a good actor. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's still a comic book. And his daughter, you know, he's got her out and they're at a cafe and the Yakuza take a hit on the Italian mafia. They don't realize there's an Italian mobster sitting behind them. And the Yakuza do a drive-by and try to hit that mobster. And the daughter gets in, and the granddaughter and him get caught between them.
Yep.
And he has to do what he has to do to save his family and take care of them. But he's not a killer. You know, it's not like the comics where it's easy to just, oh, well, I'm just going to shoot you now. That's not how it works. Like in Gran Torino, if you saw that movie, he didn't solve it by going in there guns a-blazing.
Nope.
You know, but there's a twist you won't see coming in here. But again, at the root of it, it's not just family. I love women. There would be no life without women. Women do so much for society, and I'm grateful for them. But they do get their flowers. Believe it or not, they do. Men get no flowers. We sacrifice quietly, and we'll get the blame more than we'll get the support. We will get what we did wrong more than we'll ever get what we did right. And it's only when we're gone do you realize what you just lost, and then the eulogy comes out. Men will work that job they freaking hate day in and day out, and then come home and answer the toy phone for their daughter. And we don't ask for thanks. Mothers get dinner and flowers and candy and praise on Mother's Day. Fathers get to barbecue their own fucking dinner.
Some fathers like to barbecue their own fucking.
But the point I'm trying to make
I know what you're
is,
saying. I know what you're saying.
it's just, you know, it's people are misunderstanding. It's not about my father and me. It's a tribute to him. Because
I think my favorite thing to allude to what you're saying right now is the fact that you had your father read this, and he had to think about it. He goes, "Is this about us?" And then you had to think about it and say, "Oh, I guess it could be about us."
Yeah,
you know, so that alone tells me that you didn't go in there going in that
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, my father suffered from PTSD, and we didn't know. And he was violent, and he was angry. He was never a drunk. He was never a drug addict. He always provided for us. He also had a real shitty childhood, the worst childhood I've ever heard of, to be honest with you. And he was forced to be a man at 5. I'm not even kidding. And he was the toughest man I ever met. 160. He was bench pressing 165 pounds a day at 77. He was in the ICU 2 days before he died on oxygen, and he acted like he was fine. And I told my stepmother, I go, I thought this was the last time I was going to see him. What is going on here? She goes, do you notice that every half hour or so he says, go downstairs and get food or go let the kids stretch their legs? Because he's exhausted and he doesn't want you to see him weak. This man never cried. He never said, I love you. He never showed weakness. He got arrested for road rage at 75. So he had anger issues that I didn't know about. I didn't understand he had PTSD. I didn't know what he went through in the war. I didn't understand. I only knew my experience. And I blamed him for my experience. And I had issues with my experience. And then I grew up and I forgave him on my own. And then I found out who he was and what he went through and the sacrifices he made for me that I didn't even realize. He never pursued any dreams. He dealt with nightmares and anger issues that were overwhelming and consuming and exhausting every day. But I never went without a meal. I always had a shirt on my back. He made sure I was educated. He made every friggin' musical performance that I ever did. And even in the end, he read my comics, and he was not a comic fan, but he loved the books. And this man, 2 years before he died, cried and humbled himself in front of me and said, I'm so sorry for the beatings, for the rage that I put in you, for you not feeling safe in your own home. I'm so sorry for stealing your innocence and making you grow up fast. And I told him, I said, Dad, I forgave you a long time ago. It's okay. I love you. You made me strong. I got a great family. I'm running a business that's successful. I'm living my life. I have a good home. We can argue about the execution, but the results are there. We're good. And him and I were close for the last 2 years of his life. And I just wanted to write a story that recognized we think we know and we don't have a clue what our parents go through. There's no friggin' manual. There's no manual. I stood there at his eulogy and I talked about this. We just do the best we can as parents. We're going to screw up. We're going to make mistakes. But at the same time, our kids don't realize what we're going through for them. You know, and hopefully when they become adults, they do eventually. They realize. And the surprise at the end of issue 1 explains a lot of things that the son doesn't understand and why the son resents him. You know, so
it doesn't come all into play. Yeah.
So, you know, it's got the drama, it's got the family dynamics, but it also has a lot of action, a lot of fun. It is still a comic book. It's written like a Silver Age tale.
It reminds me of classic Silver Age comics.
Yeah, where the hero really is a hero. He doesn't want to hurt anybody.
And I gotta say, I've been looking at this, and you're at 99 followers. You're almost at that 100, and you've been battling hard to get there.
Can I please get 100 followers? You would help my
Come on,
OCD
folks, help
greatly.
them out.
You would
Somebody
help
out
my
there.
OCD
Yeah.
greatly. Just get me to 100 followers. Just
If I
one
could do it
person.
twice,
Just
Bill,
follow.
I would. So I'm sorry.
And by the way, I keep telling everybody, anybody who hits the follow, I'll give you issue 1, the PDF for free
Yeah.
to read.
Mhm.
And you know what? It's not because I don't have confidence in this book. It's because I'm so confident that you will like it. You will come for number 2. It is that I think it's well written. Forgive me if that seems arrogant, but it's a good story
No,
that I
agree.
think everybody can relate to.
I agree with you. If as soon as you read 1, you want to read 2. Then you want to read 3.
Chuck Dixon said he didn't see that ending coming either.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're expecting one thing, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah, I mean, it was originally supposed to be a 110-page graphic novel but I wanted to get it out. My dad asked me if he could see it in his hands before he died, and it was just too expensive, and I didn't get to do it in time. But I'm releasing them as chapters because I can't spend $15,000. I'll never reach a $15,000 goal on Kickstarter unless he has boobs. You're sticking out, So, so I'm doing chapter by chapter. And I was worried about that because the first issue is a lot of exposition. It's a lot of setup. But I've been pleasantly surprised. Everyone who's read this has really liked it.
Yeah.
So
I can
get
agree.
me 100 followers, please.
Come on, folks. Somebody out there, just follow. I even made it easy for you guys. I put it right into the comment section so you guys can go look for it.
Thank you.
I'll get my daughter to do it tomorrow, Phil. For my campaign, I'll tell her, "Listen, you're gonna follow this one." So I'll get you there tomorrow. Don't worry.
I appreciate it.
It's hard enough getting 5 followers from my family. I got my wife and my daughter. My son's just, I don't know, they're checking out. So
yeah, my family doesn't have any Kickstarter accounts, so they don't. But
yeah. And that's the thing. You got to have a Kickstarter account. I got to say, Paul, you're at 35, so you're doing pretty well.
I tell you, man, DMing is the best thing in the world. I mean, I'm hitting up people one-on-one and just letting them know what's happening, and it's really getting that interest driving is really the whole thing. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I signed up. I'll be there.
Thank you, Phil. I appreciate that. It's I'm excited about this. I mean, I am positioning this as a comic book, but I'm really starting to expand the whole education offering for what I call history all around us. And it's really my intent to have a pilot ready in the fall so that I can start test marketing this with kids in schools. So the idea is to build out a curriculum, which is what I'm doing. I've done that already for the most part. So I have the idea for the curriculum is just building the content out. And part of the content will be a video game. It will be a comic book. I am looking to level this up to a tabletop role-playing game as well, where you can have the whole experience. So you don't necessarily have to have a computer or a device. You can do this on a table and learn history as you go. And it's really having that multi-sensory, approach to engaging students is really where I'm looking to go with. It's just not more than a game as well. I mean, the whole education program, it really includes kids journaling, doing a journal every day, doing the research on their own, figuring out what it is they want to research about, putting that student agency together where they can choose a topic. If you're going to be studying feudal Japan, what is that person, place, or thing that interests you most that you want to learn about? And then researching it, and then getting together in a group to collaborate, create a presentation, and then actually present. And that's really the basis for everything in business. No matter what you're doing, be able to communicate with other people, talk about your ideas, have discourse where you can agree or disagree, and then justify what you've done. And it's really setting that whole premise.
We can still do that? I didn't know it was allowed anymore.
I hope. I mean, that's really what I'm looking to do with this. And the more I talk to educators about it, the more they're intrigued by it, because I'm just not setting something up that's going to be sitting on a shelf. I really want this to be an all-inclusive product that they can open from day one and just do it, and then provide them all the materials they need to get this done, so that it's frictionless for the educator as well, because there's no point in trying to promote a product that's not being used. And I want this to be, universally used to whoever it's promoted to. And so that's what excites me about this. It's just my biggest hurdle right now is getting the content done because I don't have help. And I'm hoping that with the Kickstarter, it's going to help bring in some funds to get me going so I can start hiring more creatives and getting it out, because I don't believe in not paying someone for their worth. I really want to compensate people for the help that they do to include me. I just, one thing I want to make mention, I'm not tipping any hands here, but I have signed on 2 great artists for variant covers for this Kickstarter. Angel Lopez will be doing one variant cover, Son of Saint. And then the second is Chris Mad. He'll be doing a second. And I'm hoping to get at least 1 or 2 more. I really like to have a slew of variant covers available that will be, for people to choose from. And I really want quality artists to do this because I appreciate their effort and what they do in terms of promoting them in the industry. And then
Chris Mad's actually texting me right now.
Look at that. Folks, I got to tell you something. Paul's like amazing because we'll be heading to a convention talking about something or coming from a convention talking about something. And then Paul goes, I got an idea. I'm going to make a role-playing game. And next thing I know, like a couple days later, Paul's like, here's a role-playing game, Ralph. I'm like, what? You know what, Ralph? I'm going to do that comic book finally.
By the way, I didn't hear from those people.
Here's a couple of pages of the comic book, Ralph.
By the way, I didn't hear from those people I met at the CradleCon, at the Tabletop Gaming.
Oh, the guys.
Me too, the RPG people. You got to remember who they are.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll do an
introduction. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, that's one thing about the tabletop games, because I played D&D, I played like Star Wars, and the biggest frustration was the setup time. So Ralph is laughing, but I just sat down for like an afternoon and just thought, what can I do to make this a really easy game that can set up in 5 minutes? You learn it in under 3, and you just play it. And that's what I did. So it's like a Trivia Pursuit, but it's also got tie-ins to a Dungeons and Dragons. So it's like you learning history, but also using your imagination. And it's all tied to the video game with Chronolith and the Inquisitor and like all the bad guys. And it's also brings in, the whole episodes. Like the first issue is feudal Japan. So it focuses primarily on the history of feudal Japan, between the 11th and 19th century. And then it talks, the next set of cards will be about episode 2, Amelia Earhart, film noir, Togo, and as well as, possibly some temporal dynamic stuff, which is kind of cool with Maisie, which would be really wild. So.
Yeah, man, somebody get this guy some help.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking with Ray before the show, and it came up with an idea because I'm looking to do a hardcover for this Kickstarter as well. And I really want to build in content to it. And I have all these illustrations that I had done over the past couple of years from different artists, their interpretations of my characters. And so I thought, what better way than to feature an artist gallery in the back? And what I want to do is not only feature their art, but put their bio in there. So you can see a photo of the artist along with what they've done, and hopefully connect people to these artists and really make it personalized for them. So, I'm always thinking of ways to try and promote people, and probably take it on the chin. I really don't care, but I really feel that, getting the word out about who these individuals are and the creative talent they do, the more people know about it, the more they're going to find them. It's like, learning about history. The more I learn about feudal Japan, the more I want to read about it and research it myself. Why can't we do the same thing for the creatives that, produce all this stuff, which would be really cool. So
agreed.
Yep.
That's what I like about both of you. You guys are constantly trying to help artists and writers, and Phil just had his writing contest and his art contest, and he's going into fanfare at Art and Design and doing that whole thing with the kids over there. I found that amazing because that gives the kid a pretty good push.
Yeah. I was just told though there haven't been any entries. So
that's funny.
I guess the kids don't see the value.
Well, it's possible that they're not seeing it.
Well, it might be a tough time of year too, to be honest with it. I mean, exam seasons are coming up right now. I know it's tough for my kid.
Oh yeah, it is the end of the year. Yeah.
So
that's true.
I know my daughter's not worried about anything else. But the good thing is you're going to be there, so you might want to happen or do is extend it, because I feel like a a lot of the kids you're going to be talking to are going to be finding out there for the first time.
Now,
You know
are
how
you going to be
kids
there on
are.
Saturday, Phil, or is it just Sunday that you're
He's
there?
there Saturday and
I'm
Sunday.
there both days.
Okay.
I'm a sponsor of the show.
Yep,
Yeah,
and
I'll make an effort to
Samantha
try
will
and get
be
in
there on
Saturday.
Saturday to hang out with all you guys.
Yeah.
And give you the report on what's going on. You know, I'll talk to Phil all about his contest and all the other things he's doing over there, and you know, spread it with you guys because you
And
know
you should all come out to the panel Sunday, 3:30 to 4:30. Sean Chen will be with me. If you don't know who Sean Chen is, he Iron Man, Wolverine, Rye, Future Force, X-Men, The End, Batman Beyond, that 50-issue run DC did a few years ago. This is a guy who's been in the industry forever and one of the most underrated artists, I think, in the industry. So him and I will be on the panel together talking. Yeah, so it'll be fun.
I gotta say, Fanfare is always amazing. I do love what art and design does for the future of art as is in all levels, because it's animation, it's comic books, it's illustration, it's video games, it's they do so much for everything. You know, art and design is a great place to go to school.
I just realized the deadline is in 4 minutes.
Yeah, I feel like you're gonna be extending that.
To be honest with you, I don't know an artist who makes a deadline. So
I gotta say, Phil, you got lucky because a lot of artists did make your deadline for the other contest.
What was that, Raphael?
I was gonna say, I gotta say, you were pretty lucky because the artist made your other deadline.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I used to be very lenient with that, and I'll tell you a quick story. And then I know you're probably gonna want to go, but I had a colorist who had a deadline and said I need it by this time. He was on the book right away. He was doing his thing. His work didn't seem like his usual level of work, but it was still good. And then all of a sudden he started dropping off, and I'm not hearing from him. He's not communicating, blah, blah, blah. So we are he's 2 weeks past the deadline, and he has 5 pages left. And I said, dude, you're 2 weeks late on the deadline. I go, how long are you going to take these 5 pages? He goes, probably another 2 weeks. What happened was he took on other jobs, and he started putting me on the back burner. I hate that shit. I freaking hate that. If I was first, you stop it. So I said, you're fired. He goes, what? I go, you're fired. He goes, but I only have 5 pages left. I go, I'll eat the money. You're fired. I got a guy that in the 2 weeks to take you to do 5 pages, I got a guy that's an even better colorist that'll get the whole book done in that 2 weeks. You're fired. And I fired him. And I got another colorist on the book. They finished it, and this guy was shocked. And I'm like, ever since then, yeah, listen, you don't respect me or my time, then you don't respect my money. Because at the end of the day, this whole nonsense of, oh, I don't work for you, I work for me. No, because you aren't paying you, I'm paying you. Why? Your work for hire, but while I'm paying you, you're working for me. And if we're not on your, if you can't meet my schedule, then okay, communicate that, and yeah, I'll try to adjust or I won't. But if you agree to a schedule and you agree to terms, you don't sit there and change rates. You don't get late. I don't put up with that shit. I treat artists with a great deal of respect. And once I feel you aren't showing me any, we're done. We're done. Go find work somewhere else. And that would go for anybody. If it was a writer, editor, and I would expect the same for me. If you hire me and I'm not doing what we agreed to, you should can me too. It's a business. You have to be professional. There's money involved, and I work hard for my money.
Completely agree. Because some people just don't take it like that.
So I didn't know some of these people were going to be there. Very cool.
Oh yeah, that's why I wanted to show this off while you were talking. I was like, oh, let me give the people an idea of who's going to be there. Folks, Fanfare is always a blast. It's 2 days. If you can't make it Saturday, make it Sunday. If you want to make it to Phil's panel, it will be on Sunday at 3 o'clock.
3:30.
3:30. There you go. So go check it out, and you won't be remiss. This is a fun convention. Take your kids. It's the best convention to take your kids. and you actually will see a lot of kids tabling.
That's cool.
Yep. There you have it, folks. And we will also be on Sunday at MCon, hanging out with the guys over there in Long Island, and checking out all the beautiful stuff that's happening at MCon as well. And I have to say before we go, the shameless plug is back. I had to make a shameless plug, folks. There it is, the shameless
George
plug.
Medina.
So this is the graphic novel. George is ramping up to it. Go help him out. Like we like to say here, follows really help the Kickstarter. The more people you have following, the better it is. And that's why it's so important to get to the 100 follower, like Phil's trying to do, because it actually puts you in a better place in the algorithm.
Please get me to 100, just even to satisfy my OCD.
I gotta say, yeah, it would bother me if it just stayed there at 99.
No, I'll get my daughter to sign up tomorrow. You got 100 tomorrow, Phil. Don't worry about it.
We'll get it. We'll make it happen.
If not my daughter, my wife. I know they're signed up for Kickstarter, so it's good. We're good.
Part of my motivation is my OCD. I fixate on a goal I want to hit, and if I don't, it aggravates the shit out of me. I'm like, I need to get there.
Well, I was bring your blood pressure down. I'll make that my effort to do that. So.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was at 49 followers, and I sat there and I said to my wife, I'm like, this is not acceptable. And in the next 15 minutes, I went up to 80 something because I went out there and aggressively posted and talked to people and stuff like that. So.
Yeah,
you got to do. Yeah,
and, email's one thing. Social media is another. But one-on-one, I think, is really still the most valuable way to integrate and communicate with people. So,
agreed.
So, folks, you're looking for us. I'll be at Fanfare on Saturday and MCon on Sunday. If you see me, say hi, and I'll put you in the trailer. Phil will be at Fanfare both days this weekend because he is all busy and hanging out with the kids and giving them hope for the future.
You're in trouble if I'm their source of hope. I'm a cranky old man.
I say that all the time about me. So, oh my God. Anything else before we go, guys?
Follow me. I'm up to 35 or 34. I can use a few more people. It'll be great. So, definitely.
I'll see if I can recruit some people for you as well.
Thanks, man.
And just Philbo Publishing, Philbo Distribution, Philbo POD. I will be at Fanfare this weekend. I will be at Fourth World for Free Comic Book Day. And by the way, I will be giving away any of my issue number 1s for free in honor of Free Comic Book Day if you come to my table.
Very
the full
cool.
issue.
Nice.
You will get the full issue, number 1, for free if you come to my table. Because I know if you buy one, you'll want to buy more. So
that's awesome.
So you're doing the whole spirit of Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah, and I also have some free comic books from my distribution from High Vibrational Pirates, Dreamscape Comics, and Ablaze, the Sumerian. So they'll be given out to people for free at the table as well. And then, of course, and I'll be with Dennis Knight, Niall O'Rourke, Billy Tucci. And then, of course, I will be with Mark Torres at It Came From the Radio on May 13th, the Wednesday, at the library that the MCon show is at. And we'll be launching POD within about a month. I'm really excited. I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And I'm hoping that this is the start of that.
Print on demand. That just sounds like some crazy thing.
But with the cheapest prices you'll ever get.
I'm on there.
So this is a great thing also for indie creators, though, because this gives something close to home where they can actually print it on demand.
Dude, let's put it this way: right now to a 24-page book, you're paying, if not close to, over $4. For me, you could do a 48-page book for $3.10. I think it is. So that's a 48-page book. I've kept my overhead down. I've made ways to keep my overhead down. I own the space that it's going in, and it's not far from my home, so it's not like I'm spending a ton of money to travel there.
Right.
It's a family-owned business. I do have employees, but family takes on a lot of the work. I do myself, and I'm buying the printer outright. I'm owning it, so a lot of overhead gone, so I can keep my prices down, and I don't have to pass that on to anybody else. That's the key, man. I want everybody to win. Everyone. Everyone. You ever see a professional?
Everybody, let's get ready to party.
Anyway, I know I've talked enough.
Don't worry about it. That's what this show is for. We geek out, we have fun. And folks, we have geeked out, we've had fun. Go check out Phil. If you want to talk to him about any of the stuff he's talking about today, he will be at Fanfare. You can talk to him in person. That's here in the city, folks, making it so much more easier for you in Manhattan at Art and Design High School. He will be there for FanfaireNYC both days. So if you guys want to talk to Phil directly, you can go check him out there, help out the school. And, it's always great to put some money into these schools that help out the kids. And then, if you want to help Paul out, get some money in his pocket too.
Yeah, seriously. What Paul
I'll give you 100 followers. That'll be good. I know that's for much right now.
What Paul is doing, I don't think people understand or respect it as much as they should, because it's not just what you're doing for the industry and future readers and education and all of that, but just how well, high quality, you're executing and the work you're putting in. It's not easy, and I commend you on everything you're doing and how well you're doing it. And I think people need to give you a little more love and respect for what you're doing and appreciate it more. So show that appreciation by signing up, or I'll go toilet paper your damn house.
Thanks.
You heard the man. Go do it.
You don't need a toilet paper people's houses. Follow me. I'm good.
All right, folks. With that, I'll do what we do on this show. I'll press the button, and we're